Hello, everyone. Happy 4th of July, and welcome to Inside the Newsroom. I'm Maddie Paul. Inside the Newsroom, we bring you the trending stories of the KELOLAND area, and we bring in our newsroom staff members to come here at our digital desk to talk about the trending stories that you see every day on our newscasts and online at keloland.com. But the reason why we bring in our newsroom staff, and this is the best part, you get a behind-the-scenes look at how we create these trending stories and a different perspective to how we put them together. We're going to start with the biggest trending story of all, 4th of July weather. Our meteorologist, Scott Munt, is joining me now at the digital desk. Scott, I need to start with this, though. Do you have any 4th of July traditions that you do every year? Anything? There has to be something.
I work. It seems like that's the tradition that I have, is I'll be at work. So then, that kind of cuts the evening short, and I know that the 4th is on a Friday. Obviously today, Friday.
Yep.
But even tomorrow, Saturday morning, I'll be working too. So yeah, I'll cut my evening short, and I'm sure the family will go out and take in some of the fireworks.
Well, at least our viewers can celebrate with you, Scott.
Yeah, well, great.
We'll all watch together.
Get up extra early after hearing all these loud noises the night before. So yeah, I'll be here tomorrow morning on Saturday morning. Of course, you always want to tune in with Perry Groten.
Oh, of course.
KELOLAND this morning during the weekends. But it seems like this digital desk is becoming my second home here at work, too.
Yeah,
I had my first
really
one
is.
Upstairs in the Storm Center, and now I've been, kind of transferred down here into the digital desk.
Are you going to bring up, pictures of your dogs and other family members down here, too? Create a home?
Oh, yeah, right, yeah.
Make it
in
comfy.
frames, I was wondering if you want me to, bring them up through the weather graphics machine and say, yeah, this is, unfortunately. But, that brings up a good point with the 4th of July is, pets. It's a lot. I would say a lot of them don't do well with the loud noises.
You know what? You're teasing actually something that we're going to have later on Inside the Newsroom to help with pets' anxiety. One of our reporters will come in. But Scott, maybe we should talk about weather for 4th of July because, it's going to be beautiful today, but we may see some storms later tonight, right?
Yeah, we are looking at that. As a front moves across the area, we can bring in a couple of scattered showers and thunderstorms. We've had that in the forecast for the past several days. It's just a matter of the placement and, of course, the timing. Timing's always important, not only in weather, but in cooking, too.
Yes.
You don't want to leave anything too long in the oven. But we are looking at showers and thunderstorms that will develop afternoon going into the evening hours. Very important as we get towards sunset, we'll increase those chances for showers and thunderstorms across eastern and southeastern KELOLAND. Here's a look at what you can expect as we continue through the day today, especially going into the later part of the afternoon. This is at 6 o'clock. Now, not everybody here will be getting showers and thunderstorms. I think we'll have more or less scattered or broken line of showers and thunderstorms here from northeastern South Dakota through parts of central and south central KELOLAND. Something of interest, too, is look what's going on even behind this main front. We have scattered showers and thunderstorms into parts of western South Dakota. So let's look at 6 o'clock. And again, different models will show you different timing on this, but pay attention to what's going on. If you do see some darker clouds develop, you could always bring out the Storm Tracker app and check to see where these thunderstorms are. There's a loop to that radar, too, so you can see the overall direction of these showers and thunderstorms. The computer model's thinking that by 8 o'clock, a lot of this will be just to the west of Interstate 29. And any of these storms that do develop, we can get some strong gusty winds with them too, associated with those thunderstorms. I even think during the day we'll have strong south winds to help keep this heat in place, and that will continue into the evening hours. And it will be another humid, not only afternoon, but I think we'll continue that as we go into the evening hours. And this is at 10 o'clock. So hopefully we're able to squeeze in those not the showers and thunderstorms, the fireworks.
Yeah.
Getting ahead of myself. Hopefully we're able to squeeze in those fireworks before the showers and thunderstorms do roll through. And again, it is a timing issue. Would not be overly surprised if it is delayed a little bit. But with that in mind, we can also have a couple of individual cells that can develop ahead of that main line. So there are a lot of things that we'll have to watch as we go through the evening hours. Then tonight, I think it can rain all at once.
Wow.
As long as it's not too much, right?
No, I don't want too much. Not today.
But in the meantime, afternoon high temperatures into the 80s and 90s. really interested to see where we end up today. We are forecasting numbers near 90 in Sioux Falls. The clouds stay away. We continue with our southerly winds. I think we'll be above and beyond what the forecast models are predicting. So I wouldn't be surprised if we're able to squeeze out in the lower 90s in and around Sioux Falls. And you can see here on the model, it's probably picking up on a couple of these areas here in the eastern KELOLAND. It cut back on some of those temperatures as we went into the later part of the afternoon. And I think that might be a product of the model thinking that we could have some cloud cover move through. And then, of course, as we do get into the evening, those temperatures are expected to fall, and a lot of that could be due to the rain-cooled air. Again, It's a timing issue as to when these showers and thunderstorms do move through. So we'll continue to follow it as we go through the evening hours and into early tonight.
Excellent. Do you have any other graphics to show, Scott?
Let's go ahead and show, I think I have one more here with our wind.
Oh, perfect.
Because
Our favorite.
firing these things off, you want to know what the wind's doing. During the day, we'll have our strong southerly winds here across eastern South Dakota. So you can see that we do have some of these winds. Now, these are wind gusts that can approach maybe 30 miles per hour, okay? You see that across eastern, southeastern KELOLAND as we continue through the later part of this afternoon, going into the evening hours. Still at strong southerly winds, approaching 30 or more. That would not surprise me. Now, with that line of thunderstorms in central South Dakota that the model was picking up on, embedded in that, sure, we could get some higher wind gusts too. And you could see that here in the central South Dakota. Now, it's interesting to see as we go through the evening, we kind of lose that punch with those thunderstorm winds. So we're losing some of the energy as we do go through the evening. Not to say we won't have our rain chances move in the east and southeast, because we will. But when we look at the strong or maybe severe aspects of the storm, we are showing that weakening trend as we do get into the evening hours. That's not picking up on those strong thunderstorm wind gusts as what it was earlier in the day in central and south central South Dakota. But that's 10 o'clock. If you're able to dodge a couple of those raindrops, it won't be as windy as what we've had during the afternoon. So we'll watch the wind too. Strong from the south. We'll get some of those wind gusts near 30 miles per hour or more. Keep the heat, keep the humidity in place, and then we'll just watch the timing of the showers and thunderstorms as we go through the rest of today and into tonight.
Yeah, that seems to be the big trend. Just plan it out correctly. But, Scott, nothing seems too severe at this point. Is that correct?
Correct. There's that marginal risk maybe for severe thunderstorm, and I think the main threat would be gusty winds with those thunderstorms that move through. So, that means we could get, if we do get a severe thunderstorm, we're talking wind gusts near 60 miles per hour.
And if I had to pause my firework plans today, would I have a chance to do any on Saturday?
In fact, I would say it's probably maybe a better chance for some on Saturday, especially in the parts of central South Dakota. We still have some lingering chances for rain eastern South Dakota, Minnesota, and Iowa. So, take it as it comes.
Well, even though you have to work, maybe we can bring you some sparklers. So as you're doing your forecast, you can wave a wand or something.
Okay. Well, sounds like a good idea to me.
Yeah, everyone will love that.
Okay.
Scott, thank you for joining me at the Digital Desk, and happy 4th.
Yeah, happy 4th to you too.
Thank you. And stick around with us, viewers, because up next, we're still keeping on trend with 4th of July traditions. We're going to tell you how to dispose of old fireworks and how to help your pets with their firework anxiety. Stay with us on Inside the Newsroom. Welcome back to Inside the Newsroom. Now, fireworks may already be going off today, but there's still some laws that you need to follow. So our intern and KELOLAND reporter, Nathan, explains.
In Minnehaha County, fireworks are allowed from June 27th to the first Sunday after July 4th, but each city has its separate ordinances and regulations.
Anything that makes an audible report, has a projectile, or has a launching component is illegal in the city limits. So that's pretty clear. If it has any type of movement or any type of noise, that it's not allowed.
Calls gradually increase the week of the 4th of July, with an average of 250 to 350 or more calls.
A couple years ago in 2022, the numbers were down. I think they were like in the 250 mark. But the last 2 years have been approaching that 350 mark. So it seems like they've increased the last couple of years. I think a lot of that probably has to do with how the 4th of July lines up. Like this year, it's on a Friday. So I'd anticipate if the weather is nice that we'll see probably higher fireworks numbers with the 4th being on a Friday, and then the day after being on a Saturday, so it could be a higher volume weekend for fireworks calls.
The Sheriff's Department covers any firework complaints in every city in Minnehaha County, except Sioux Falls and Brandon.
It's going to be entirely that time frame from June 27th through July 6th. But each city that we work for, whether it's Dow Rapids or Baltic or Garrettson, each city has separate ordinances. So I would encourage those folks that have questions just to reach out to their local city halls.
Outside of that time frame, lighting off fireworks is a Class 2 misdemeanor in South Dakota, and it's punishable by up to a $500 fine. In the city limits of Sioux Falls, fireworks are a city ordinance violation with a $107.50 fine.
We just want people to have fun, and ultimately at the end of the day, we want them to be safe and responsible and just be a good neighbor to everybody out there.
Speaking of staying safe and responsible, if we have old fireworks, we got to make sure we get rid of them correctly. Jacob, you were able to also speak with the police department about some ways to stay safe this 4th of July. What'd you learn?
Yeah, well, it was fire rescue actually who were kind of talking me through that, but they said, the biggest things are, be safe with what you're using. Of course, if you're in Sioux Falls, your options are limited. But if you do get your hands on some of these mortar shells that we see here, using those outside of town, maybe in another community, occasionally you get an instance where one does not go off. You light it, you watch the fuse burn away, and then nothing happens. And then you're wondering, do I go up to the tube? What do I do? They said to give that some time, let it sit for 20 to 30 minutes. And then at that point, you can kind of go up to it, approach it. In the meantime, take all your stuff away from it a little ways. You can keep doing your thing. Once you get it, though, they say put it in a bucket of water, a big bucket of water, and let it soak overnight. After that point, it's basically inert. You can toss it in the trash. Same thing with old fireworks as well. They said, a lot of people's grandparents especially tend to keep them year over year, don't know how old they are. Those, he said, we don't know how they age. Better to just, again, chuck them in a bucket of water overnight, toss them in the trash.
That's pretty easy cleanup, I think. I remember doing that as a kid. I used to do so many fireworks when I was young, and that was exactly what I would do. We have that big bucket just ready to just plop them in, because then you can have fun, but you're safe afterwards. And, speaking of the Sioux Falls Fire Rescue, it seems like the 4th of July is a busy time for them.
Yeah, definitely. They wouldn't say necessarily that it's the busiest holiday, because that tends to fluctuate here or there, but it is relatively busy. They keep full staffing throughout. And they said with their number of fire stations, though, they do feel confident that if there are any incidents, they like to have a 4 to 5 minute response time from those stations.
Yes, because I think they have the 12 stations. So yeah, that 4 to 5 minute range. If there was an emergency, it's really nice that they're able to get out and go with these fireworks. But speaking of fireworks, one thing that Scott was just saying before we came and talked to you, Jacob, is what do we do with those pets who have anxiety for fireworks? I have a cat, and my cat gets scared just by doors closing. And so 4th of July gets a little timid for him, because the fireworks are loud. We're in the right neighborhood for them, too. So you did a story about this, actually, where you looked and saw what to do for pets' anxiety, specifically dogs. What did you learn in this story?
Yeah, well, we focused on dogs with this. I spoke to a veterinarian in Brandon, and he said, cats typically do a better job of just kind of hiding on their own, however they need to. Dogs, though, he said, really it's the same thing. For the most part, if your dog wants to go hide and they're not causing themselves any harm, they're not in any danger, let them go hide. It's what they naturally look to do. It's kind of a self-preservation thing. However, sometimes they do get a little bit too much anxiety. And in those cases, there are medications. Particularly, there is a tranquilizer that they can prescribe, although you do need a veterinarian to have a prior relationship with your pet. So here on the 4th, it is a little too late to probably go and get that.
Yeah.
But for future reference, you can give them these tranquilizers, help them calm down. You'll still want to stay with them, though, because he mentioned with these animals with high anxiety, they will try to run away from these sounds. He says he's seen situations where dogs have gone out windows, through window screens, even dug their way out of a garage. And with that note, too, keeping identification, whether that's microchips, collars, IDs, so if your dog does get away, you'll be able to find him.
Is this new medication that they were talking about with you in the article, is that something that's really popular? It sounds new to me. I just don't know if I've heard of that before.
Yeah, so trazodone is the drug in particular, and it is fairly new.
Okay.
It's been around for a little while, but they like to use it. It's got lesser side effects, things like that. Again, you do have to get a prescription from your vet, and he mentioned, if he hasn't seen him within 6 months roughly, it's not legal for him to give them.
So as
to
you
the
said,
dogs.
probably can't give it today, unfortunately. But, there was one thing my grandma used to use for our family dog, and it was like one of those dog lightning jackets. She used it the same way. It like just relieves their anxiety. I think it's the same way as like a weighted blanket. I'm not an expert, but I think it's the same effect as that to give that comforting feeling. So she would use that for my dog during fireworks season. But for my cat, yeah, I just let him hide, let him do what he needs to do because I don't know what else really to help him with. Anxiety, man, it just gets you.
Yeah, but comfort thing, definitely just being there. Your presence can help. You can even turn on some background noise. This vet in particular recommended turning on Kello.
Oh, okay. I like the little plug. Anything else you'd like to share about either of these two stories, Jacob, that you think would be very insightful for our viewers as they celebrate today?
Well, the big thing is just safety all around, making sure you're cleaning up after yourself, but give yourself time for those spent fireworks to really cool down. Again, with the dog angle of it as well, you can make sure to, keep your dogs away from the fireworks. Some are afraid of them, but some of them are a little too fond of it. The vet said, he's seen burns in the mouth, chipped teeth, things like that. So really just safety all around, whether that's pets, children, yourself, just keeping yourself secure.
Thank you for that insight, Jacob. And viewers, guess what? Jacob is going to be sticking around, and we're still on this theme of 4th of July. We're going to be talking about some upcoming events and also some travel ideas for you for your celebrations on Inside the Newsroom. Welcome back to Inside the Newsroom. Our reporter, Jacob Newton, is sticking around at the digital desk because we are going to be talking about plans for 4th of July. So stick around if you don't have any planned events yet, because Jacob and I will go through a whole list of places across the state that you could go to. But Jacob, I want to start off by asking, what are your plans for the 4th today?
Nothing too major, We're really looking at a relaxing afternoon, hopefully after work, hanging out through the weekend, really just spending some family time. Of course, there are plenty of things around the area, so who knows? Maybe if we get bored, head out, catch some fireworks, maybe a parade or two.
Yeah, well, I'm about to influence you with some events going on. I'm actually traveling later tonight. I'm going to be going to Mankato in southern Minnesota, and my goal is to just relax at the lake. I'm going to Madison Lake. It's one of my favorite in southern Minnesota. Hopefully getting some sparklers, getting some grilled food. That's like 4th of July is just a good summer holiday, I feel like, for Americans. So it's just always like a time for me to just be like, it's okay to be out in the sun. It's okay to indulge in this grilled food. That's like my version of a 4th of July tradition. Do you have any traditions?
Well, we'll definitely be sparking up the grill. A lake sounds fantastic, though.
Love lakes.
I'd love to have that around here. Unfortunately, we're going to be a little landlocked in our backyard, but no huge traditions. We usually like to see some fireworks. A lot of 4th of July's, though. I have been working, so we don't do too much necessarily, but really just spending that family time, taking the time, and just enjoying the weather. Hopefully it stays nice for us going into this evening.
It's so funny that you say that because Scott said that he has to work too, as he was on earlier. But I told him I'd bring him a sparkler so he can at least wave it around, so I can bring you the sparkler as well later. Well, let's look at some of our 4th of July events that are going around across the state. Our digital reporter, Michael Dorn, had made this story earlier, a couple weeks ago, honestly, so everyone could start planning. But, if you don't have plans yet, let's talk about some things that are going on around the state. So in Sioux Falls, there's always this big event that goes down on Phillips Avenue. They do close some of the streets to traffic, and they have lots of local vendors and some art going around. They're really big on foot traffic right now. As I was walking, Jacob, on Thursday morning, I saw that they had painted signs on the sidewalks that said, like, walk your bikes, because they're anticipating so much foot traffic coming in. But I don't know if I've actually ever been around for the celebrations that go on Phillips Avenue.
Yeah, I haven't either, but this might be the year to check it out.
There you go. Well, I mean, it's right next to the station, too, so It's perfect. Well, there's also the Sioux Falls fireworks at Lyon Fairgrounds. This I have been to. This is what my tradition was with my family growing up. But we stopped after a while because the summers back then used to get so buggy, especially when you're out by those fields. So that's a good reminder, actually. Just get covered up in that mosquito gear, because I do not like the bugs. Have you been to the Sioux Falls fireworks before?
I haven't. I've only been in Sioux Falls for really the past 5 or 6 years, which sounds like a while, but I've never gone out of my way to go over there. Growing up, though, rural Nebraska, it was go out, find a country road, find a driveway, and you'd kind of be set for the night there. Didn't have to worry about bugs too much.
Good.
Because usually you were close enough to the fireworks that some of the smoke covered that up.
Good. Looks like there's some events going on in Thunder Road and Aberdeen, especially for those military members to join for some mini golf. That sounds fun. Mina Lake doing their own celebration. That started in the morning, though, and it goes till, looks like 7 p.m. with the Storybook Land Theater performing, which is fun. Uncle Sam Jam in Brookings performing till 11:30. That starts at 6, so that's perfect to go out if you like live music. Gold Camp Jubilee Days, Black Hills Roundup, something in Custer, too. Oh, Spearfish holding a 4th of July parade. Oh, that already happened at noon if you missed that. Looks like a lot of events. Jacob, are you recognizing any of these events as we're scrolling through? Fort Pierre, Madison, fireworks shows, Lennox.
I would always recommend going to one of those rodeos. I've been to the Black Hills Roundup in the past, and it's always a spectacle from someone parachuting in some days. Then you've got your rodeo clowns, you've got your team roping, steer wrestling, bronc riding. There's really something for everyone there. And just a great atmosphere. It's a good way to spend a couple hours for sure.
Wow. I've never been to a rodeo, so I feel like that's exciting.
I would recommend it. It's good fun.
That would give me some thrill. Well, speaking of travels or anything like that, we did have a story with our reporter, Perry Groten, who looked at people who were trying to travel and get ahead of their 4th of July plans. Let's take a look at that story.
You can fit in a lot of sightseeing if you leave early enough on your 4th of July travels.
We stopped in Yellowstone, stopped in Rushmore, and heading up to Duluth to see family.
But you'll want to make allowances for road construction along the way.
Just had a little construction traffic I had to go through here, close to Sioux Falls, but other than that, it was a piece of cake.
Drivers say gas prices are much more affordable here than what they've been paying in other parts of the country.
They're wonderful here. It's a lot more expensive in Oregon and on the West Coast than it is in the Central.
Every driver we spoke with says the key to beating 4th of July holiday traffic is to plan ahead.
We were originally going to be on the road tomorrow, but because it gets so busy and because we're ready to see family, we wanted to get off the road today, and so we will be done tonight.
Jamie Williams is using an AI app to track his trip from Oregon to Wisconsin.
I basically planned it so I would always have every 3 hours or something, a stop for food, for coffee, and for gas.
Williams has also been leaving enough early in the morning to avoid the congestion that builds up in the afternoon.
We left in a way to finish today. That way we didn't have to deal with holiday traffic.
Drivers say the traffic has been manageable so far, fully expecting a much different driving experience after today.
I think as we get closer to this weekend, it might be a little worse.
Well, I'm a little scared now, Jacob, as I'm going to be traveling this weekend and going out. I know I'm going to see people on the highways and it's just going to get congested. But you know what? As it is for traveling and celebrating with family and the ones that you love.
Absolutely. Just keep it around the speed limit there. Watch out for those construction zones. I've heard they're not too bad to actually get through this year.
That's a good point that I always forget about is all the construction that's going around. But yeah, I'm excited for 4th of July, especially tonight. I love fireworks. That's going to be my biggest thing. And then tomorrow when I get to go to the lake, give me a body of water. That's always my favorite. Well, happy 4th of July, Jacob, and thank you for joining me at the digital desk. And stick around and we'll wrap things up when we come back after the break. That's all the time that we have today for Inside the Newsroom. Thank you for joining us and go outside. Have some fun out in the weather while you still can on this 4th of July before those storms come in. And make sure you stay updated about those storms coming in on our Storm Tracker app, also on Kello Weather News, and of course, KelloLand.com. Happy 4th of July, everyone, and we'll see you next week at 1 o'clock for Inside the Newsroom. Happy 4th!